Welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast, where we talk about the struggles and celebrations that leaders and entrepreneurs experience on their journey to success. I'm your host, Kristina, and I'm passionate about helping you achieve massive amounts of success at work and at home. We'll talk about all things people and organizational wellness, share relatable stories, and feature insightful guests because quality people and processes are at the heart of every success story. Ready to learn, grow, and have fun? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast. I'm your host, Kristina Schmitt. You may notice that I've got a little bit of a different background today. So I am in a bit of transition and currently staying with my mother. So I am recording in a basement, actually sitting on a pool table. So if you're looking at it, it looks a little different, but it actually not terrible other than it's very plain. So for those on YouTube who can see it, there you go. But if you hear herds of elephants running over my head, that's because there are children here too. So, always fun recording in the real world. So a little behind the scenes there for you. So what I want to talk about today, I've had a lot of clients as of late talking about they've done such a fantastic job of growing their businesses and getting a team to work under them that they're like, but what do I do now? And trying to find this balance between what they love to do and what they loved about generating and growing their business to what should they be doing today? And I think it's very helpful to understand some basic roles of a leader because there's a lot of ideas around, okay, what a CEO does, or what does a leader do, or what does, a manager do, that kind of thing. And so it's helpful to kind of think of some general buckets in which we can look at the types of work that we're going to be doing as leaders and understanding that a leader of a small team is going to do slightly different things than the CEO of a large business is going to do. And the CEO of a medium-sized business or the CEO of a family-run business, they're going to do different things. However, they're all going to fall in the same buckets. And it's helpful to kind of bucket them out a bit. I always like to name things and to categorize things because we can then work on it. We can then grow an area, or shrink an area, or outsource an area, or bring a new area in when we can understand what it is and what those buckets might be. So first, I'm going to go through each of the roles of the leader. So there's only 3, which is good. So that keeps it nice and simple. And I'm going to also get and talk about real practical things and practical things on every level of leadership. So you can take stock of what you're doing every single day and say, am I even doing that at all? Or, wow, I'm spending way too much time over here and maybe I need to transition a little bit over here, but also doing it in a way that is true to you, true to your working genius, understanding where sometimes you're going to have to be sitting right in your frustrations, but understanding again, okay, how do I do that well? So we'll talk about a lot of different things, and I'm going to send you away with some homework to think about and to apply to your business. All right, so let's get into it. So roles of a leader. So the first role of a leader is to create and share a vision. Okay, so sounds kind of lofty, maybe, but might be a little confusing. So the first part, create. So we're going to create a vision. So again, depending on the type of leader you are, if you're a shop floor supervisor, maybe you're not creating the vision, but you're most certainly communicating that vision. And you might have a little bit of your own vision as long as it aligns that you're creating for your team as well. We all have some expectations that we have for our team and how we operate. And so that is part of creating it. So understanding where your values fit in, even within a large corporation, and saying, hey, this is the way we work. That is creating your vision for your team still. So again, going to look a little bit different at every level. If you're the owner or CEO of a company, you're going to have more freedom. If you have stakeholders in your company, you might have less freedom. But if it's all yours, solely yours, huge amounts of freedom in what that looks like. So practically what that looks like. Most certainly you're doing at least one big, huge strategy session where you create this overall vision for your business. In the work that I do when I work with businesses to create visions, I actually use Patrick Lencioni's 6 critical questions. So that would be the why do we exist question. So that in theory should be done once. So you can set that vision once and it stays forever. So you're going to at least do that. So it's very practical one time and making sure it still jives regularly. But what that looks like in a more ongoing environment is like quarterly offsite meetings where you're adjusting the strategy, setting the strategy in the 6 critical questions way. It's you're resetting the what's most important right now. So creating that sort of vision and also creating, okay, where strategically do we need to be going? Is it, we need to grab this new technology. We need to start making acquisitions. We need to develop this area of our business, or this is new and exciting and I want to do this. So these are all parts of that creating of the vision. But practically, again, quarterly meetings to touch base on it, to look at a different section of it, and maybe an annual refresh of but the quarterly meetings could encompass this as well, but an annual refresh of your overall strategy. So that's practically what that creation part. Now, the sharing part. This is where I see a lot of people fall down because you do all this work in this creation part and we forget to share it. Or we do the one, big rollout. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is the strategy. We're so excited about it. I was in an organization where they made these really fancy videos and we did them like in every location and it was super exciting. They were very exciting videos. I would get excited when I'd watch them, but it's like it loses ground if you're not truly sharing it. So let's think about that. Think about, how do people know what you're excited about? What happens when you're super duper excited about something? If you're anything like me, which some people are, maybe not everybody is, but some people are, you're talking about it a lot. You're sharing it a lot. It's ingrained in how you function and how you work and how you have discussions with people, how you follow up with them. So if you're really, truly sharing this vision, you have ingrained it. So this would encompass your vision. This would encompass your value system and your company values, those core values that you set, and what's most important right now. So you're always talking about it. Things should be aligned to it. So everybody's goals should be aligned to it. When you're giving feedback to somebody, if you see a gap in a value, that warrants feedback. People living the values is just as important as doing the actual work that you hired them to do. That is hard for people. I see people struggle with this a lot. I struggled with it as well. And had I really looked at it well, I would have been like, that would be so much easier to give people feedback if I really had a great understanding of our value system and how we behave. So that's like the third critical question, right? Or the second critical question. But that, how do we behave and how do we operate? That is just as critical as the work that we do. Because if people aren't behaving in the same way, we're not doing the work in the same way that is cohesive in the business, that serves the client or the customers in the way that we want to serve them. So following up with people and living that every single day is all part of communicating that vision. And if you're just talking to people, getting excited, making sure you connect those dots for them, because that's how they're going to understand it. That's how they're going to get it just as excited about it as you are. And that's how they're going to feel that they're contributing to it, which are all critical things for having engaged and empowered and really people that feel like they have an ownership piece into the business. And that's what we all want. Because when we're all pulling in the same direction, because we all understand it, that's how we get really effective organizations and excellent results. Again, when we're sharing it, we're creating that vision. Again, those regular quarterly offsites, that kind of one time of vision creation, but that creation of those strategic goals, and then also sharing them in every single thing we do. I like to call it mentionitis. All right. So you're going to have mentionitis about your vision and your values. All right. Second role of a leader. The second role is to develop the team. So again, kind of twofold of this. So the first part is actually creating, okay, who's on the team? What roles do I need? So thinking through that is a bit strategic, but it's also, it's this important role. So understanding who goes where, what types of people we need. So maybe what geniuses we need to add or take away or move around, and then growing that team accordingly into the strategy that we've set. But it's also, and this is the bigger part of it, developing the skill sets. So everybody comes into your organization with some level of skill sets, even your new hires, even like the ground floor, just like out of school or even a co-op. Everybody's got a skill set. They've got life experiences and they've got this will, this energy that they have. And as part of developing them, we're actually going to touch on all of those areas. So first we have to understand, where are they today? Where are they in their life experiences or work experiences? Where are they in their knowledge sets and what they actually know from school, life, whatever? And where are they in terms of their will or their motivation? So developing is going to hit all three of those points. What that looks like practically, that looks like having some regular sit downs with your team. So understanding again where they are. That's part of those life experiences, what they're struggling with, maybe what skill sets they need to grow. So those would come up in regular conversations, and also understanding that motivation level. And when we dig deeper into the motivation level, it's not a character flaw to be unmotivated. Potentially can be, but it's typically because of something that we're tying to it. It's tied to those experiences that were attached to the thing that we're doing. So I think I've mentioned this on a few hundred of my 60 podcast episodes. Those thoughts, those historical thoughts and experiences that we've had really determine how we behave. And so if we've attached thoughts to an action that we have to do, like I think of this every morning. Like I used to have a thought that like unloading the dishwasher took a really long time. I really don't know how I got that thought, but it seemed to always take a long time. But then I started doing it as part of my morning routine and actually timed myself. And I've used my 5S principles in my kitchen. So it is quite efficient, but it takes like 2 minutes on a good day and 4 minutes on a bad day. Like we're talking about less than 5 minutes of work. And how many of you, I want you to be honest, how many people let the clean dishes sit in the dishwasher because you just don't feel like doing it? Because it's going to take time and you don't like doing it and you don't want to, you've got something attached to it. And that attachment is demotivating. So when we're developing our teams, we are pulling those sort of stories out. So we're going to say, okay, well, the dishwasher, okay, you feel like it takes a long time. Valid point. I totally see that. How long does it actually take? Most people in the world will probably say, I really don't know. Feels like it takes 20 minutes. Okay, well, let's time it. Once you do it every day, or when you do it, set the timer on your phone, or just glance at the clock and see what time it is when you start. Glance at the clock and see what time it is when you're done. Let's reality check it. Let's find out what's true. Great, fantastic. And then you can start saying, okay, so then it's not 20 minutes, it's 4, it's 6, whatever. All right, how does it feel to say I'm going to work for 6 minutes? That sounds actually stupidly easy. This is not to try to diminish, but you know what? Sometimes we need the reality check, and sometimes we need to say, okay, it's not that hard. So 6 minutes, we can all do something for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever it is. I've even started implementing with my children this 5-minute pickup thing. Learned it from A Slob Comes Clean. So decluttering, if you're looking to declutter, amazing person to check out there, Dana K. White. Just this 5-minute pickup, right? So everybody can do it for 5 minutes. It goes so fast. We set our little Alexa thing. We say, Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes, which they love to do. So that gets them excited. And then we clean for 5 minutes, and you've got 5 minutes from each child plus myself. So it's 15 minutes of cleaning. That's amazing. So 5 minutes is fast. And when we can start to say the reality, when we can start reality checking people about things. And granted, it's not always going to be as easy as dishwasher unloading, but I like to use practical things. But that's that developing of the team. So we're, again, developing the motivation. We are developing their skill sets. So that would look like we're having a conversation. They're saying they're struggling with something. And, like, what are you struggling with? This Excel sheet isn't doing what I want it to do. Every time I know I should be using a VLOOKUP and I'm struggling to implement it. You know what? Maybe there's a quick little course online or a couple of YouTube videos that, hey, why don't you take an hour and actually upskill yourself? That would be amazing. Just take an hour and research it, because we all have these thoughts in our brain. So again, I'm going to go back to the thought thing. We all have these thoughts in our brain that we don't have time to grow and learn, or we don't have time to do it right, or we don't have time to do something. So, just take the hour and go learn something, or we need something bigger. Hey, I would really benefit from learning this new system or having more thorough training on how to program something. Okay, let's find a course. Let's do that. So that's all part of that developing the skill. And then the experiences, we're going to be developing those as well. So do we need to put them on projects to work alongside somebody so they get the experience of maybe how to run a meeting or how to run a project or how to manage a project or manage a small team? So we have to develop people's experiences as well. So all three, again, are going to come into play. So practically what that looks like is it looks like having the best way is having those sit downs, those weekly, bi-weekly, even monthly meetings where you're checking in on the human being who's doing the work. Yes, you might look at their goals or some of the actions, but it's not a project plan check-in. It is, how are you doing? What's getting in the way of you getting this thing done? Or, hey, that was a really super fantastic execution of this thing. What do you think of it? What went well? Why do you think it maybe went this well? And just doing those check-ins with them, and you're going to start to understand those thoughts that are behind their motivation. You're going to start to really see what skills they might be developing, or what skills they need developing on, or what experiences they might need. If somebody's struggling to run a meeting, you sit in on their meetings with them, or you say, hey, come into this meeting, or this person runs an excellent meeting. Why don't you sit in their meetings and just kind of see what's happening? And that can open eyes. We used to take people on tours sometimes, go see this plant that is doing lean manufacturing really well, or watch these videos so that you can see what I'm trying to talk about. So again, those experiences are going to help you with number one, which is sharing your vision as well. So people can see it. So putting that together, the practical is those coaching sessions that are happening on a regular basis where you're checking in with the human being. And again, at the different levels, it's going to look different. So if you're a supervisor with, 30 people on your shop floor that you're in charge of, you're probably not meeting with them individually once a week. So you're going to have to stage that out to what makes sense, but still it's good to do. Maybe it's not as long. Maybe it's a 20-minute or a 15-minute sit down versus, you're a top leader. You've got about 4 people that report to you. They're all leading other people. Maybe you have a little bit longer, but maybe, a little bit more regular check-ins, depending on where they are in their career, or just depending on, what they need, who needs what. So let's say you're a CEO of a company, an every other week cadence might be really nice with each of your people. Maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's an hour, but you're checking in. Okay, how's it going? How are your team members doing? Where are they struggling? Where are you struggling to meet their needs? Because that's where they're going to need that coaching time as well. So it's all about developing. It's not just sending people on courses. It's those sit downs. It is assessing the skill set, but it's that sit down to truly understand the thoughts behind things so we can get over that will or get the motivation in check, but also making sure people have the right experiences and making sure that they do have the right skills that are all fully developed. And the third role of a leader, this is the one that people think is the most important, but it is not actually. It's very important to do because it is extremely important. But if you do the other two well, this one happens pretty easily. And the order in which we do these is extremely important as well, because if we just try to do number 3 without doing 1 and 2, we're going to work a lot harder. All right. So the third one is get results, right? We are all in business. We are all employed. We are all put into a leadership position because we can get results. And we're put there to get results. So yes, maybe this feels like the primary function of what you do. It's critical that you do the first 2 in order to get the third one done effectively. Because let's think through this. All right, if you haven't given people a vision of where you're going, where you as a team member or team are going, or an organization are going, or even you as a person, where do you want to take them? If you haven't done that motivation part in the get results gets real struggle. They don't get as excited about it. So now you're going to be, did you do the thing? Did you do the thing? We need to do this thing. They're not going to understand the why behind it. They're not going to get as excited. Just a little tidbit. I've worked with some clients and they grew their business from when it was tiny. It was 7 people. They grew it from that. And now they've got 30 people. And they're like, it's just not the same. When we were 7, we were all pulling in the same direction. Everybody wanted to chip in. Everybody just did it. Like, yes, having roles and responsibilities is important. But when you're in that scrappy stage of the business, everybody just does it. You pull your weight and you help others pull theirs when they're struggling. The thing is you can have that scrappy environment in a normal work when you do the first 2 things really well. So that's what we want, right? We want the attitude of the scrappiness of the scrappiest stage of a business and I'm not going to say ease, but the less craziness of a consistent, mature business. So you get that by doing 1 and 2. And that makes 3, getting results, that much simpler. So what this looks like at the different levels is get results. If, again, you're a shop floor supervisor, you are out there making sure people produce their parts every single day. You're checking in, you're following up. Okay, what do you need? Oh, you need, the forklift to come more often to bring you more stock because you're waiting. Okay, cool. Let's arrange that. Let's make that happen. So that's getting results. Sometimes, and when you're more of a working lead, sometimes getting results is doing the things, right? And we all have things we have to do. Like, even if you're a top CEO, you still have to put together the presentation, or at least work on delivering the presentation that you're going to work on. So there is still there's a doing portion of it. But if you're a leader, your work should not 100% be doing, because you got to do 1 and 2, right? So if you're not taking the time to do 1 and 2, so creating and sharing the vision, developing your team, then you're going to be all doing, and you're going to be working more hours. You're going to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and you're going to be struggling to get the good results that you want. And you're not going to have the team members with the attitude of that beginning stage of scrappy sort of business. So that's the kind of shop floor sort of team level, right? Checking in, some doing probably, but a lot of following up. So in general, it's following up and checking in is the big part of this when you're a leader. All right, let's say like a manager sort of level. Let's say you're a manager of managers, but you still have people you report to. Okay, so again, some doing, but a lot of checking in, following up. You're not obviously checking in on to produce the same amount of parts, but you're doing like those regular coaching sessions. That's part of getting results as well. But you're also having sitting in a project meeting. Okay, is that happening? Are we doing the things? Sometimes you're going to lead the meeting because it's maybe the project that you're leading. But this is where I see a lot of gaps sometimes. You don't have to lead every single meeting. You don't have to be the person who's got their hands in every single project, because at some point you run out of hours to do that, and you run out of bandwidth in your brain. And if you're doing that all the time, again, you're not doing that vision part, and you're probably not doing the develop part as well as you need to be. So part of developing people is allowing others to do some of these things. So this might look like just a check-in with the team lead. So maybe you don't sit in on the project meeting, but it's okay, let's have, a 30-minute, you just report to me what's happening. Or maybe that's what a weekly tactical sort of meeting would look like for the top managers. So each manager is going to bring the update for what's happening in their department. You get a check-in. Cool. What's critical? Where should I put my time? Where should I dive in a little deeper? So that's all part of getting results. Now, let's say you're a CEO. Again, the size of the business is going to matter because you're going to have shareholders and stockholder meetings, that kind of thing. But you're also a lot of the clients where they're struggling to see where their role is in this area. They used to do, now they're leading. This is where it gets a little foggy for them. This is where the team meeting check-in, how much checking in versus how much doing are you doing? So again, the size of your business is going to determine, but in general, a CEO is going to be doing more checking in this area with some doing. If you're the owner of your business, you can look at that any way you want. Let's say you have a tech company and you're creating new products, and that was the fun part for the business for you. Okay, so maybe that's part of what you do still. It's your company, right? You can do what you want. So as long as you're still doing 1 and 2 and following up on the rest of the results happening, you can allocate that you do some doing, that you do some creating. It's okay. It's allowed. But you have to do the other things as well. And they have to be just as important, not the nice to-dos. We do tend to, as leaders, as humans, that we have a lot to do. We tend to do, and say, I will do the planning later. I will do the development later when I have more time. But the time does not create itself. You have to create the time. You have to slot it out, and it has to feel like a priority in your world, in your schedule. It has to look like a priority in your schedule. And that is how you will get even better results, and you will get them easier. So just to wrap it all up for you. Okay, the rules of a leader. So number 1, create and share the vision. You're doing quarterly offsites. You're creating that vision. You're creating the values. You're talking about it all the time. Remember the mentionitis. Number 2, develop your team. So who's on the team? What roles do we need? How many teams do we need? That kind of thing. But more importantly, developing those skill sets, experiences, and motivation. And number 3, get results. So a little bit of doing, a lot of checking in, and a lot of making sure things are happening. And depending on your role, you can take creative license with how we get things done. But again, doing 1 and 2 are hugely important. All right, so I have something that we're getting a little long in the tooth, so sorry about that. But something coming up that I am starting and launching, and I'm looking for some leaders who are looking for some additional help. I'm looking for 5 leaders who want to give this a go and help me kind of beta drive this new product that I'm offering. So I'm offering something called asynchronous coaching. And what that is we'll have a Slack channel. So Slack is just a system to use where we can talk, converse, we can send videos, we can send documents, we can send voice memos, and we can type. But having this area where you can kind of go back and forth on a daily basis with me. So it's like having your leadership coach in your pocket. You can do it on the cell phone, you can do it on a computer, whatever's easier for you. But it is a way to make sure you're being developed and you're creating your vision and you're able to get the results that you want because you've got somebody helping you along the way. I talk about this accompaniment that we need to give our team members, but leaders also need it because we don't become superhuman when we become a leader. You don't magically get superpowers to do it all by yourself. So if you're interested in that, I'm doing a discounted rate for these 5 people because I want to give it a go, try it out, see what works, see what doesn't. And so I'd love your feedback on it if you do join up. But if you're interested, reach out to me. You can find all my connection ways in the show notes, but easiest way is my website on KristinaSchmitt.ca or email at Kristina@KristinaSchmitt.ca. And if you're interested, just reach out. We'll get some links in there soon to kind of give some more info about it, but I'd love to just chat with you and see if it makes sense and you can help me out. So again, 5 leaders looking for some accompanied development in an asynchronous format at a very discounted rate because you're helping me out here and helping me develop something. So super excited about that. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like it, share it with a friend or a colleague or a business partner, another business owner, and comment, leave a review, and just get the word out there because again, I want to help people. I want to help people have better lives because they're getting their businesses running well, they're getting their work life sorted out, and then we can all have a better life. So like it, share with a friend, and leave a review, and we will see you on the next episode of the Business Building Blocks podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Business Building Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. If you found value in our conversation, please leave a quick review, like, or share. It helps us reach more amazing listeners like you. For more resources and insights, visit KristinaSchmitt.ca, where you can find tools and support to empower your leadership journey. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.